one started earlier in November 2013 when the president didn't sign an agreement with the European Union and people were pissed off and went to the streets. It was at first a peaceful protest. People just went to the main square and they were standing there with posters and voicing their position that they want to be the part of the European Union. But on a November day, the situation got ugly. A bunch of peaceful students were attacked by police at night. And they were beaten very violently, including the girls. There was a video which was shot by one of the protesters and it became public. And then the protests began to spread. And it wasn't about the European Union anymore. It was a protest against the government attacking peaceful citizens. On the day when I came to Kiev, it was a Thursday, January the 16th, the parliament passed new anti-protest laws, which banned people from gathering on the streets, and they prohibited wearing masks and like military clothes. Because of that, like there were also more people on the streets because they didn't understand why those laws could like be passed, because it's like it smells like dictatorship. Then it was a Sunday, January the 19th. It's a big holiday in Ukraine. It's called the ice baptism. I took my friends, and from the early morning we wandered the city and took photographs because it's an incredibly interesting picture. And then we went to Maidan, which is a square where also protesters gather. It was an afternoon. One of the protesters addressed the people and say, hey, like we need to go to the parliament and ask the parliament to cancel the laws, because they're like anti-democratic and they prohibit us from gathering peacefully. Then the people waited for half an hour. The opposition leaders didn't like come up with any actions or whatever, and the crowd went to the parliament, and on the way to the parliament they met with the police, and that's when the violent clashes started. There were people killed there and lots of people injured, and some of the people lost their wrists or their eyesight because of the tear gas grenades. And I would say that's like Ukraine is second largest country in Europe, and we have like half of the country who's culturally closer to Russia, and the other one which is culturally closer to European Union. Russia is kind of involved in Ukrainian politics, but whatever is happening is still kind of mostly ruled by Ukrainian elites, and they're incredibly corrupted. The protesters want the president, the government to resign. Like people could justify them being corrupted or whatever, but like not being violent. That was the thing which really shocked the whole country. You're afraid, and also you're kind of not afraid only about yourself, but you're also afraid about your family, your friends. I know a person who was hit by the brick and the other one was shot, and some of the journalists were blinded, and you kind of, you know, I was texting my friend, for example, every day when I was there, like, hey, are you alive? Because that's what could happen. The protesters have like they're a kind of encampment in the like middle of the city, and they have like volunteer paramedics and food and like hot drinks they deliver, and like they chop wood to make fires to heat up because it's freezingly cold as well. So like there's a whole like protest like city inside the city. People don't have a clear agenda, I suppose. You know, so it's like they're fighting against something, but they are not fighting like for something. When you walk on the streets of the city where you grew up and go to the central square where you used to eat ice cream when you were a school kid, and there were like beautiful Baroque buildings, and now it's smoke and flames and people fighting each other constantly 24 hours. And there are police shooting bullets and throwing tear gas grenades, and the protesters firing fireworks to them and like throwing stones, and it just looks like a horrible Hollywood movie happening in your backyard. So yeah, it felt like the country is on the edge of a civil war because like nothing like that ever happened, because Ukraine is a peaceful country.